What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the very first progressive update on the tier list for Midnight. I know it's very early on, but still there's a lot of things to talk about. How the class are playing? Are they bad tuning? Are they good tuning? Things have changed for them, stuff like that. I think it's good thing to discuss and give you guys an update on how things are going out. Once again, things will change 100%. Everything we're going to discuss today is likely going to absolutely change in a matter of weeks or months. So I don't think you should start picking up your mains or ults yet, but rather just have an open mind and see how specs are playing out based on weekly tuning. That's kind of the big disclaimer here. So yeah, don't really start to panicking and be like, oh shit, my class is doing pretty bad, horrible tuning, plays horrible, because things can change. As you can see, the most recent example was Fire Mage. How Fire Mage was pretty bad to play. I think rotationally. And the quality 5 updates on the Fire Mage wasn't doing that good, but then it got changed and the Scorch got added back and a lot of more quality of life updates, and here we go. Pharaoh, in my opinion, is horrible to play and bad tuning. I'm gonna specifically say why do I don't like to play Pharaoh right now and why do I think tuning is bad. First of all, the tuning on Pharaoh is bad because it seems like your spenders are just not doing that much damage. Your generators, like for example, Swipe is doing way too much damage, and Rake, for example, is severely undertuned. That is one thing that I didn't like about Pharaoh out of all the tests that I've tried. I played Wildstalker, I played Druid to the Claw, you get less Ravage procs. It seems like the damage profile is good tuned for Mythic Plus. You're gonna have a good prior damage probably once it gets tuned properly. It seems like the burst is there, but there are several aspects of that gameplay that just didn't click for me. Perhaps if they fix Rake, I would have better fun playing, because right now all you do is swipe, you keep up a rip on all targets and you bite. That's pretty much it. That's all you do. Now once they fix the Rake, then it's going to be more engaging playstyle. You're going to be applying rakes, etc., which I think will be much more fun. In terms of utility, Pharaoh didn't really get anything new, and defensive part, same thing. The energy starvation issues have been mostly fixed on Pharaoh. There are still a few spots where you could feel a little bit of the starving part, but for the most part, I would say much better than a World of 10. And once again, you're probably going to end up playing Pharaoh with a physical comp, but right now, the tuning is really something that they should be working upon, the spec. That's about Pharaoh. I think Unholy was really fun to play, but the tuning was really bad. Now, what I mean by tuning being bad is that first of all, your Apex talents on Unholy are quite underwhelming, to say the least. Your spenders on Unholy, like for example, your Dead Coil, your Epidemic, it just felt like you were doing no damage. Like with the Disease build, obviously diseases were really high in damage, but the overall tuning of them, it felt pretty lackluster. Which makes me believe that once they tune the spenders, then the whole spec would click a lot better. Especially once you start playing the Apex Talents, because right now people are not playing the Apex Talents, which is sad in my opinion. In terms of design, I know a lot of you would ask me, but it is nothing that you have played before as Unholy so far. You don't really have to rely on Scorch Strike as much, or popping your diseases or bursting the spores, whatever. You're just focusing on ghoul playstyle, pretty much. Imagine like a Diablo 2 Necromancer. That is something that Unholy DK plays like, you know? You're summoning pets with your abilities, you're using Putrefy to pop them, or to sacrifice them to do the explosion damage, and your diseases do a lot of damage. And if you play Pestilence, it consumes the diseases, it does instant damage, then you can reapply it again with Putrefy. Outbreak is being replaced by Pestilence, right? Yes, if you play that talent. Bottom left capstone, I believe, so... In terms of utility, Unholy didn't really get anything new, and defensive part, I would say mostly the same. There were an attempt to nerf a few times very early into the alpha, but other than that, you're still gonna have a good defensive profile. I believe Lichborn doesn't give you DR anymore, but it gives you only healing, right? Only Leech. D&D playstyle for Unholy is officially over unless you play Sandlin. There are a few possibilities where you still might want to play D&D as a Sandlin, but as a Rider, which right now most of them are playing Riders, then I think it's pretty intense quality of life update to not press D&D. I mean, I guess D&D becomes utility cooldown because it still slows enemies by, is it like 90% slow? Which is huge, by the way. In some dungeons, the slow would be substantial benefit to your team. Yeah, that's pretty much about Unholy so far. Which, yeah, I think it was to be expected. I don't know if any of you have seen Unholy testing so far, or at least gaming, but it was pretty fun to see. In my opinion, so Devourer is a spec that a lot of people would probably disagree with me, but I think in terms of playstyle, the high mobility is something that you're gonna be absolutely enjoying. Like having so many shifts, gap closer, disengages, the whole rotation of Devourer is pretty underwhelming. For the most part, you're gonna feel bored to play, but the toolkit itself that makes you so mobile is the fun part about the spec itself. The tuning on Devourer right now is a little bit off. I feel like the only time that you actually do good damage is if you pull very big, just so you can spam your collapsing stars, you can spam your void trace back to back. But if you don't pull big, let's say if you play 3 to 6 mobs, it just feels terrible. It just plays terrible, feels terrible to play, but on a bigger pools, if your tank knows what to do, then you can really see Devourer actually skyrocketing in terms of damage, which is actually the fun part here. I for one quite enjoy playing the spec itself, at least in those bigger pools. Chain pools also pretty cool. Single target didn't feel as astonishingly bad. I mean, the playstyle on single target is even more boring than on the NeoE, but other than that, I feel like with a little bit more tuning and maybe some other spells being added back to Devourer, this can be a fun spec to play. But overall, I think tuning is pretty off, at least for the most part. The design of the spec is also a little bit off, but the high mobility, having triple blink, 1 gap closer, the hunt gap closer, and vengeful retreat disengage, it's like you cannot even catch him. You just cannot catch him. If there's any time that you have to move left and right, no problem, dude. No problem. So that's what I would say so far. That's my first impression of the spec playing for 2.5 weeks or better. Vengeance DH. What's up, Kira? Okay, so Vengeance DH is the clear winner. I don't have to say it to anybody, but I think Vengeance DH so far is the only tank that is absolutely overtuned to play. There's nowhere else to say, or no way else to put it, that you just not only you feel the most consistent tank in terms of durability, but also damage-wise seems to be the most broken tank right now. Self-sustain, high meta uptime, good utility, good mob control. I don't think there's anything I can say bad about the spec so far. Also, the Apex talents are pretty good for you. Soul Cleave now is soft cap, used to be hard cap, which is actually the fun part. Aggro felt amazing. I don't think I've ever lost aggro against Vengeance DH. Yeah, I think so far Vengeance is the clear winner. I don't think there's any negative of the spec so far. And also, most of the good specs currently are casters, and Vengeance pairs the best with casters too, which is actually another big W for the spec. So yeah, I think it's obviously overtuned. Fun to play, overtuned as fuck though. It's something important to talk about. Let's go with Protection Paladin. I think Protection Paladin is just bad tuning right now. Likely the weakest tank across all of them, in terms of durability at least. So far from all the testing, this is the tank that dies the most in just pure melee attacks. Absolutely getting shafted out of this world. And part of it is because they nerfed their cooldown, not cooldowns, but like CDR on their major cooldowns, which is actually something that you previously had a lot of uptime on them. Now it just doesn't seem to have that much. The bigger pools also, even through cooldowns, you get burnout. Although you have double kings if you have to play a talent, but the defensive part of Consecration also got moved, which is good because that adds quality of life updates. If they tune up the durability, makes them more tanky, then I feel like this pick might perform better. But I think utility-wise, nothing has changed for Prot Paladin. This so far seems to be roughly where it has always been. You know, insane utility. Mana issues have been resolved for the most part. If you're using your Word of Glories on yourself. Obviously, if you do use it on your teammates, you will be charged more mana, which you might burn out but if you do use it on yourself, although they heal for like a piss, you won't really get as much in my opinion. But yeah, utility pretty good. Good package for Mythic Plus, like utility package, mob control as well. Just durability has to get buffed. Damage wise also felt pretty good, by the way. So I think it's one tuning away from being actually good, but it's still horrible to play. Demonology, after the most recent buff to Demonology, I'm gonna say Demo is absolutely fun to play in good tuning. Okay, it might be borderline overtuned in terms of single target, but after the most recent change, I really like how the spec is playing out. Not only rotationally, but also quality of life updates. It seems like they've only been collecting Ws for the past couple of days, weeks, and months of the alpha and beta reworks, and I am a big fan and looking forward to play that probably as my ult in the midnight. Now, the soul chart generation has been doing better than before. I also think that the having extra utility in terms of either having Imp of Hellhunter for Purge or Interrupt is a good quality of life update for the Demonology. The consistent damage of Demo is looking pretty good. The reward code Implosion lowers the barrier to entry of the spec because that gives you a flat 30-second city on that. There's some issues with the spec. For example, Doomguard still ninja pulls the whole first, like a whole area within you, which is gonna be fixed, I'm sure, very soon. The first pool of the dungeon is also a little bit clunky because you don't have really any resources going to the pool, so naturally do less damage. Single target seems a little bit overtuned, bro. I don't know what to say, but I think I found only one spec that can beat me on pure single target, and that's in Raid. Other than that, I was smoking everybody else. Like, Demo might have been, or might have gotten way too big of a buff last few days. But overall, it's fun to play, and the tuning is pretty good. Again, this is one of the specs that is actually borderline OP. So, yeah. Demo has a few bug talents right now. I think every spec has a few bug talents. It's not just Demo. Yeah. But you're right. Isn't Demo like 3 buttons? I mean, you spam your demonic cores, you put them in Hand of Go Down, you open Imps, you summon Dogs, you have Implosion, Hammer Tyrant, and Doomguard. So core rotation is like 3 buttons, and you have like 2 minor cooldowns to use. Implosion and Tyrant, and then you have a bigger cooldown, Doomguard. Which I think Doomguard might be minor cooldown, because you get CDR on Doomguard, so maybe just Demonic Tyrant is the bigger one. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it became much easier to play, if that's what you're inclining to say. It has become easier to play, which is good. Arms, horrible. Okay, wait. Okay, it's horrible. I'm gonna explain why it's horrible. So the biggest issue on arms so far, the rotation itself, it's actually not bad at all. Like, it is pretty entertaining and fun to press your rotation, but the rage generation on arms is so bad. It is so bad. Like, you're actually actively crying because of it. I am inheriting a depression from playing Arms Warrior. Obviously, the tuning is bad. Disregarding the tuning. Imagine if the numbers don't exist. You ignore damage meters. Obviously, it's bad. But the playstyle is not bad at all. I think it's fun. However, the rage generation is making it bad. That's pretty much it. It's just making it bad, bro. There are pockets of time where you just don't have anything to press. And you have to listen to me. And you have to leap away, charge in, and then do your rotation again. What the fuck is that? They should just make them flat out, I guess, each spell to generate more rage. Or make it, I don't know exactly, probably that's gonna be the biggest change so far. But durability on arms got better, and I'm gonna say this, in my opinion, warrior utility is no longer the worst. I'm gonna say this: warrior utility is no longer the worst. The utility gotten a lot better, which is good. They have a double interrupt, AoE stun, single target stun. They have a wind, so it's like a speed totem for your allies. And Rallying Cry now is beefier as well. So yeah, that's yeah. So you have a pummel as a main interrupt, and every 45 seconds, Wrecking Troll is gonna silence enemies. Rage management is skewed that is different. That is diff good and bad warriors. I like this change. What? That is not true. How is it more skillful to get more rage? Like, that is not skillful, bro. Like, your abilities are not doing enough rage generation for you to do rotation. You're starving on rage. Disregarding of how good you are, there are times as arms that you are just can't do anything except leap away and charge back in melee, right? That's it. You know? Yeah. If the rage management, okay, listen up. If the rage management got better, it got fixed, I'm gonna move arms to fun to play but bad tuning. If, only if, that gets to be resolved. But until then, it's horrible. I don't want to even think about it. I don't even want to go into that road as a ramble about this one. Fuck no. BM Hunter is one of the few specs that is completely overtuned on beta. Completely overtuned. Like, this spec needs to be... So, the pets are doing way too much damage. Like, the number one thing they gotta fix is pets. Pets needs to be nerfed by a significant margin. Stampede is also doing way too much damage. So nerf Stampede or nerf Backleader Capstone and nerf the pets. Yeah. Overall, it plays similar to what you were playing in The War Within. The only difference between BM Hunter through The War Within and Midnight, or at least one of the most significant changes, is that Beast Cleave is no longer needed to be applied by multi-shot, because multi-shot doesn't exist. Now you have, instead of that, Wild Trash, which is again an ability that you cast every 8 seconds to maintain your Beast Cleave. Wild Trash duration is once again 8 seconds instead of 6 seconds, which makes it easier to maintain the windows. What else? It's 2 spreading barb shots, different targets, 2 kill commander prior target, Stampede still hits like a truck. Yeah, I think that's everything. Utility part of Beastmaster Hunter gets better because Hunter's might got reworked for way better. You have now an AoE stop, AoE stun you have, by the way. Implosive Trap doesn't work anymore because it doesn't exist. You have longer durability on your major defensive cooldowns, and I think you have a Rod of Sacrifice external ability. It's like, imagine Blessing of Sacrifice on Paladin, something similar, but Rod of Sacrifice on Hunters. It only gives a 15% damage reduction. The ghost entered? No, it's my cat. She just entered the room. And that's about it, guys. That's about BM Hunter. Keep in mind that every single Hunter spec inherited better defensives and improved Hunter's Mark. I think Restoration Druid goes to fun to play and good tuning so far. I think the current HPS profile for Restoration Druid is absolutely amazing. The quality of life updates on the Restoration Druid also quite good. It seems to me that healing is going to become easier in Midnight as well. You gotta only have 1 life bloom stack, for example, instead of 2. Easier ramps. Damage profile and damage, the way that you do damage is pretty similar as well. Utility unchanged on the Restoration Druid, still pretty strong, except that you don't have a kick anymore, but that's every single healer. Except, I think a Restoration Shaman is the only heal that has an interrupt. Other than that, yeah, Restoration Druid so far looks to be, or seems to be, the better performing healer on beta. But, again, it's too early to have an opinion, but things are probably gonna change. But so far, the rest of Druids are blasting. Out of all of the testing that I have done so far, I think Outlaw is pretty fun to play, and the tuning is also on point, at least for Mythic Plus. Now, this is a huge bracket, by the way. When I say good tuning, I'm gonna say this. Outlaw Rogue experiences pretty bad single target compared to most of the specs, and the fun-wise of Outlaw Rogue might overtake the current tuning. What I'm trying to say here is, even though it plays significantly easier and better, I still think that they should have just increased your single target instead of giving a nerf. If you guys didn't know, Outlaw got a nerf on Wednesday that they do 17% less damage, which in my opinion lowers their output by a huge margin. So that's one thing that I didn't like. Energy starvation on Outlaw is the first time that I've ever experienced Outlaw being energy starved, but yes, that is another point that I have to mention. You run out of energy as Outlaw at times. Not all the time, but it happens. Blade Rush helps you with regen on energy, and I think this TLT also helps you. But if you have neither, there are times where you just run out of it. Unless you play, if you have AR, then it's fine. But without AR, you can feel it. So yeah, I think this pick might be fun to play bad tuning or good tuning fun to play. I think for raiding is probably fun to play bad tuning. But for Mythic Plus, I think it's probably around here so far. Also, Roll the Bones got reworked, meaning that the RNG is less, which is obviously a good thing for you, in my opinion. Yeah. That's about Outlaw so far. The only defensive nerf is that you cannot pick up defensive talents anymore because you have to sacrifice damage. Is that what you mean? The 5% less stamina because you gotta go for more damage? Is that what you mean or something else? Fly with butterfly and sting like a bee has been removed. Got you. Elish Shaman, if I was to be rating raid as well, I'm gonna probably put up Elish Shaman as fun to play and good tuning. I think in terms of rating. But in Mythic Plus, I'm gonna say probably still fun to play, but bad tuning. I think tuning is meh so far. The consistent damage effect just doesn't looks to be that impressive. I think it's only good in raid though. Right now in Mythic Plus it just seems to be a little bit lackluster. But I'm just hesitant to say this because maybe because of the whole Wind Fury buff, it could be a good tuning though. But so overall, TLDR on Elish Shaman is, first of all, you have been significantly changed from the War Within to Midnight. Because of the Great Sundering doesn't exist anymore. You don't have any more Storm Elemental. DRE, which is the deeply rooted elements, it doesn't exist anymore. I think you probably get to see a lot less RNG because of DRE removal. Ascendance got nerfed. Mastery got nerfed. Voltic Blaze is the new fire elemental or like fire build on Ellie, which is, I guess, engaging to say the least. That's pretty much it. So rotationally so far of Ellie, it's pretty close to similar. Chain Lightning, Earthquakes, and Tempests. Now if you don't play Stormbringer, it's Chain Lightning and Earthquake. And Voltic Blaze on cooldown, which applies 6 Flame Shocks every 6 seconds. And that's about it. I think this spec so far looks to be way better in raid than in Mythic Plus. But because of a good single target and insane utility, it might still be a good tuning. Although I don't like the design of the spec for Mythic Plus because they took away your prio damage. Right now, if you don't play Tempest, Ellie is a full path spec. Like full path spec, no prio. But if you play Stormbringer, then Tempest can have a prio. Even though not as strong as before. Yes, Ascendance being 3 minutes baseline cooldown is still an issue. I would love them to be either baseline 2 or maybe the CDR to the talent of Ascendance to be linked inside the 20% haste during. Yes, so you can play actually fire build. No, Fran, no. You can play fire build of Ellie and you can play also a storm build. There are two builds right now. The fire build plays Farseer and the storm build plays Stormbringer. Isn't the 2-minute Ascendance better without having DRE? That's exactly what I'm playing right now. Yes, I am playing currently 2-minute Ascendance instead of 3. Because the DRE got removed and the tier set of last season is now no longer an option. Heavy movement fights are gonna be fun without instant cast. I mean, you still have Lava Surge, you still have Voltic Blaze. You can still play Earthshock, which is instant cast too. So I don't think that will be much of an issue. Yeah. Yeah, I also enjoyed Season 3 tier set. I think that set was likely the best we've ever gotten in a long time. Okay. That's about it. Chat. You wanna go Fury Warrior? Okay. Fury Warrior, in my opinion, is horrible to play bad tuning. And I'm gonna explain why do I think that. So, horrible to play because the playstyle is exactly the same as in the War Within. There is not a single button difference. Nothing. Now, there are specs that get close to the same playstyle, but like at least one button difference. As Fury, it's the same. So, playstyle wise, even if it was the same, it still has the same issues. Target cap, which can be severely punishing in some of the pools, and that's it. I think yeah, that's it. That's why I think it's horrible to play. The tuning is bad because it's just not enough damage. I mean, again, tuning wise, I think many specs are gonna be bad tuning because they haven't really started working around tuning so far. But I have to say this. Warrior in general, just like Arms and Protection Warrior, you have gotten better utility, which is going to be noticeable. And also, I think the defensive part of Warrior is close to being the same. So yeah, if I have to be giving a TLDR right now, it's probably horrible to play back tuning on Fury. Although, I have to say that Fury Warrior is probably doing better than Arms, if I have to say this, because the single target of Fury is way better. I think Protection Warrior, after the most recent buffs, it's probably going for either horrible to play and good tuning, or good tuning bad to play. One of those two. I'm not sure exactly where to go for, but it's probably going to be like that. Yeah, it's one of those. So previously, Protection Warrior was just down bad. After the most recent buffs, they play a lot better, defensively and offensively. Anger Management has slowed down your rotation. Lower Haste has slowed down your rotation as well. But overall should be pretty close to what you remember Warriors to be, right? So it's one of those things. It's either good to play and bad tuning. I'm gonna put it for now here and move Elishama down there. Let me think of something else if they have added. So rotationally, Warrior should feel very similar to what you were playing in the War Within, except to be slower. We spoke about anger management. They have gotten buffed. Yeah, I think that's it pretty much. Frost Mage is probably gonna be here. Fun to play and good tuning. I don't think Frost Mage is overtuned. It used to be overtuned, but not anymore. I think Frost is in a very good spot for Mythic Plus, likely in the upper levels of Mythic Plus, in my opinion. It's just that I'll be honest with you, Frost Mage likely got the best rework across all range. I'm trying to think any other range that got better rework. I can't think of any. You play completely the opposite of the War Within. You have freezing stacks to manage right now. Glacial Spike is built inside your Frostbolt. Comet Storm is also a passive now, triggers after Void Ray. Icy Veins got removed. Instead, you have a Ray of Frost measure cooldown, not Void Ray. My apologies. What else? Cone of Cold doesn't interact anymore with your core rotation. Blizzard got no CDR except your I think Ray of Frost and Ice Lances give you some CDR on it. Also, Blizzard got nerfed, which made it that you don't have to cast it on single target. I think that's about it. I really like Frost Mage. The only bad thing about Frost Mage going to midnight is that they nerfed the defensive profile. But that is for every single mage. Like every single mage spec got their greater invisibility DR removed, mass barrier removed, and mirror images doesn't do anymore. It doesn't give you DR anymore. I think that's it, right? Is there any other nerfs defensively so far? I can't think of any. Trying to think. I don't think so, right? Just 3 of them. Mass barrier removed, images DR nerfed, greater invis DR nerfed. That's it. Okay. Cool. I think out of all of the testing that I've done so far on Shadow Priest, it belongs to fun to play and good tuning. Visually, Shadow Priest is likely the best spec so far in Midnight. Tentacle Slam, Shadow Ward Madness, the apparition appearing from you, the tuning also became better after the most recent nerfs. It was like previously it was overtuned as fuck. After the nerfs, now it's a lot more in line. Damage profile is also insane. You're gonna have good funnel, good AoE damage. Tentacle Slam provides way better quality of life, Shadow Ward pains, and vampiric touch applications. Consistent damage feels better. I think I can't say anything bad about Shadow Priest. Also, Interrupt is now baseline. You don't need to sacrifice damage to pick up Interrupt. Defensively didn't change at all. I think that's it. I really like Shadow Priest. I cannot lie to you. One of the specs that I had the most fun playing, alongside Frost Mage. Frost Mage felt really good too, but I think Shadow as well. Yeah. I think the interrupt is now 30 seconds baseline. It used to be 45, if I am not mistaken myself. I think so. I'm a big fan of Shadow Priest. Big thumbs up for that spec. Okay, so previously Augmentation was in overtuned. It used to be absolutely overtuned, but after 2 weeks of consecutive nerfs, I think Augmentation goes to horrible to play in good tuning. The good tuning is because it's not overpowered. You still have a lot of ways to contribute to your overall damage, but the reason why I think it's horrible to play is because most of your personal damage got nuked. You're now getting back to how Dragonflight Augmentation used to be. Most of your damage comes from buffing your allies, which you cannot really track. You can actually track from only logs. So you can be a complete dogshit player and you're still gonna end up being super high on overall damage, which is quite the opposite of what I like to see as Augmentation. Defensively got pretty nuked as well. Renewing Blaze got nerfed. The Rescue Shield from Twin Guardian got nerfed. You now have only double Obsidian Scale and Zephyr. Personal damage got nerfed significantly, so you're now going to be doing less. The rotation feels quite similar than before, and you're going to be buffing your allies a lot more than the War Within. So we're going backwards with Evoker. Like we went from, okay, I'm gonna try to draw it from you. Okay, so we went from Augmentation being so this is Dragonflight. So if this is Dragonflight, we went from being super OP buffing allies to getting nerfed several times to the War Within to doing more personal damage, and now we're going back to getting nerfed damage wise and then now buffing allies again. So that's where we are right now, right here. So I would really like to see how this spec is gonna end up being. Okay, but so far I'm not a big fan of it. It is strong. It is strong, undeniably one of the stronger range options, but it is pretty horrible. Okay, it might be better if I were to see my overall damage or my current damage all the time, instead of having to rely on logs, then I could be probably a good indication of the spec and how I'm doing. Because right now, I don't know how I'm doing. How could somebody say or see how am I doing compared to others if I don't have logs, for example? It's a pretty terrible way. I have no idea how they're doing. I have no idea. So far from what I've gathered, Holy Priest plays similar to what you were used to. in the World Within, rotationally, like core-wise, they didn't really get any new utility. It's pretty close to similar. In fact, I even wrote something here. One second. I think I have a spreadsheet that I have wrote something about Holy Priest. So Heal, Renew, Shadow Word, the SO Hope is Symbol of Hope got removed. Light Spell got removed. Divine Word got removed. That's it. Then we have Prayer of Healing, Triple CDs, GS, Hymn Apotheosis. That's pretty much the cooldowns you're going to be playing around. Oracle has more Prayer of Healing. Shifting to more Holy Words. That's pretty much it. So, less buttons to press, but feels similar to what you can expect from going to a routine to midnight. That's why I'm unsure. I haven't spent enough time into testing, researching, and playing out Holy Priest myself to have a more adequate opinion. I don't know how they're doing. Again, tuning wise, I'm not sure if numbers are good, if numbers are bad compared to others. I am not sure yet, but with time, we're gonna find out soon enough. Another issue is that not many players are playing Holy Priest, which shouldn't really indicate for how good or bad the spec is. So I just need to do more on my part to up my game on Holy Priest and get more familiar. That's why I'm putting it to Unsure. Another spec that I'm going to put in Unsure is Blood Decay. So Blood Decay last week was absolutely overtuned, but then it got nerfed significantly, or bug fixed and nerfed at the same time, that now I am unsure where they belong. Are they fun to play? Definitely. The reason why Blood Decay is fun to play is because a lot less buttons to press compared to the World Within. The barrier to entry or the rotation has become easier, which is a good way to promote the spec for new players, on top of having more versatile gameplay. It's a little bit RNG though, which means your Apex talents have a chance to give you dancing rune weapons, which can be a lot of fun if you proc in a bigger packs, but it's a little bit RNG in that department. Overall, I like the way it plays out, but I'm not sure if the tuning is bad because I'm trying to compare every single tank to the best performing tanks. So if I try to compare Blood Decay to Vengeance DH, it's probably gonna end up being in a bad tuning, right? But because Vengeance is so OP though, if Vengeance gets to be nerfed, then maybe this can get close to good tuning. But I think if I have to put it anywhere, it's probably gonna be in a bad tuning, fun to play. But for now, I'm gonna just put it on Sure. I'm gonna spend a few more days or weeks to test it out, and I'll have a better opinion after that. I think that's probably more fair. In terms of utility, I don't think you've got anything. Oh, Abomination Limp is back on the menu, but it shares a talent node with the Gorefine Grasp, which is the mass grip, right? So I don't know if that is worth to say the least. Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think I have anything else to say. Out of the 39 specs we have so far, that I think goes to the prison, it has to be Monk. It has to be Monk. It absolutely has to be Monk, bro. Like, Monk it was really fun to play, but after the nerf to Slicing Winds, they didn't give you any compensation. So now, Spinning Crane Kick does no damage, Slicing Winds does no damage, and you also don't have any talents to actually use it anywhere else. So you got double cooked. Zenith is the new major cooldown, which is actually pretty fine. It's okay. Whirling Dragon Punch shares the same talent node as the Thunderstrike. The Thunderstrike Punch. I kind of forgot the name of it so far because I kind of remember every name of every class, every ability, which is not bad. The numbers on Monk is pretty underwhelming. So everything about Monk is L. Like, tuning is L, design is L. Yeah, I don't know, bro. Like, it begs the question, where are we going in Monk? Like, where are we going with Monk? Like, where? It's actually terrible. I loved playing Monk with the no spinning crate build, Shadow Pan. It was good. But after the nerf slicing wins, they just have no option. Like, the only option for you is to either buff spinning crane kick and make Monk go back to conduit, perhaps, or you rework talents the way that you actually allow Monk to have something. That's about it, dude. I think so far Monk has to be in a prison. Like, it's absolutely diabolical to produce a spec like that. Diabolical. Crazy, actually. Unpopular opinion, but I think Retribution, it's actually fun to play, but it just have a bad tuning. Like, no cap. Like, the current Retribution Paladin plays better than the Retribution Paladin. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I think it also becomes harder to manage. No passive holy power gen. The first thing. One extra button, which is another thing. Most of your damage now comes from spenders. Divine Storm, and the ST spender, which I forgot the name of. I think it's called shit, I forgot about it. But the ST spender on the Red Paladin, not Divine Storm, the other one. Which is fine. Templar's Verdict, thank you. Yeah, that's the one. What else? You have a nice new major cooldown, which combines previously 2 minor cooldowns together, which is forgot the name of it again. I can't remember every ability, every talent, and for every spec. Unfortunately, my brain is not as big. I think it was called Executioner Sentence, the talent, but it was combined as well with another talent. Final Reckoning, thank you very much. Yes. So Final Reckoning and Executioner Sentence are getting combined together in a brand new talent, which is a minute cooldown. After the AoE damage you do on all the mobs, 10% of that goes to the main target, which is actually good power damage. The problem with that is, I don't actually have a good power damage though. Outside of that, it would just feel inferior. But yeah, that's pretty much what I think is fun to play. One extra button, no downtime, more engaging. Crusader Strikes. Templar Strikes instead of Crusader Strike. Divine Hammer is now only Templar. I don't know if that's a good thing though, because most people played Templar last season. I think 99% played Templar. So Divine Hammer being now a passive, it would be fine, I guess. One less button to press before you do your cooldowns. It felt to me that single target did better with Mythic Plus build than before. That's it, dude. And I can't be unhappy about the Retribution Paladin. It's just the tuning is not as good compared to others. But there are some people that are unhappy about it. It's still going to be easy class to play, but it might be harder than the Warrior 10. Yeah, I think somebody of that is pretty much there. Have nothing else to say. Nothing new as utility, and defensive wise, I think it's similar to the Warrior 10. Similar, not the same. That's it. I love to talk about Enhanced Shaman. Enhanced Shaman is one of the melees that had the most fun playing. I think it's safe to say Enhanced belongs in fun to play, but bad tuning. First of all, the barrier to entry of Enhance or the core rotation becomes significantly easier compared to before. You feel like the flow is better. You have now one major cooldown, which is Ascendance. It's combined with Doom Winds. You have not 2 cooldowns, just one. If you play Doom Winds, it's a minute cooldown, which is going to be a major cooldown. That's fine. The extra off heals doesn't consume Maelstrom weapons. So if you wanna, for example, healing wave yourself or search, it doesn't consume Maelstrom weapons. The private target damage playing Tempest build or Stormbringer, it's there. The uncapped AoE or mass AoE is likely the worst thing about Enhance. If you play big, you will be suffering for that. The tuning is not there for me. I think Tempest should probably be 8 target cap instead of 5 to make it better. Utility-wise, Enhance has become the same, except that Thunderstorm doesn't exist anymore, so you only have AoE stun and interrupt. You have no other way to disturb enemies. You can play with the Totemic build, which goes with Sundering, but other than that, I think it's pretty fun to play. Like, the flow of Shaman feels fun to play. Also, Crashing Light is the center of your Apex talents, which now you have to press a lot more. Previously, you would always maintain one Crashing Light just to get the buff out of it, but now you want to be pressing it as an actual DPS button, which is a good thing. It adds a bit more flavor to Enhance. Yeah, I think that's about it. If they actually make you soft cap from 5 to 8 targets, or at least have some way to do more AoE damage or uncapped AoE damage, and what I mean, like more onto like 8 plus targets, then I think Enhance will be pretty fun to play. Also, another thing that is bad to play, durability. I think durability is likely the worst it's ever been on Enhanced and LA, because they also removed Stone Skin Totem, which is previously a totem that gave you shield. Now all we have left is Astro Shift, and that's it. I guess you can off heal yourself, but it's pretty weird. Like, imagine you're in the middle of Ascendance and you have to off heal yourself not to die. That's kind of weird. You can also have, oh, Earth Elemental is now 3-minute defensive cooldown, but lasts 30 seconds, and it doesn't generate aggro anymore. So you can actually press Earth Ellie as a defensive cooldown, get the value out of it, and it won't die on packs, which is actually pretty good. So I guess that's how you gain the defensive in that regard. Yeah, that's about it. I think Arcane Mage is likely gonna end up in onshore need more testing. Out of everything I've done for Arcane so far, it felt the only spec that I had no idea of which path to take. Because the way you were playing Arcane before, I tried to play with a new talent called Arcane Pulse, which is the one that is supposed to substitute the Arcane Explosion, which will make you never go to melee again. But it kind of feels weird. I don't know if the tuning is bad on Arcane Pulse or I'm doing bad. It could be a combination of both. Touch of Magi is now a double charge cooldown, which means your minor cooldowns will be better, which is fine. You still have a good frontal burst because of your surges. Salvo is the new talent you want to play around, consuming salvo stacks. You still target cap. I don't think that's everything so far for Arcane. I don't have any more information, unfortunately. You did get nerfed defensively, but just like every single mage, that's the case. Yeah, I think so. I don't know how it plays compared to other specs. I don't know how it does tuning-wise compared to other specs, because most of the time it just feels weird. It feels weird and new, and maybe with more tuning on behalf of Arcane Pulse, it might do even insane. But until they do that, I think it's just a little bit gimmicky, to say the least. Again, that's my opinion. Maybe with some buffs it will change, but so far it just feels like that. Frost Decay, that's pretty easy one. I think Frost Decay is overtuned. Frost Death Knight is playing exactly the same as you were playing in the War Within, but the only difference is now you have a Frost Ward as an ability, which is the center of your Apex talents. It just seems way too strong right now. The single target is insane, the AoE burst is insane, minor cooldowns do way more damage than some major cooldowns of other specs and classes. Your major cooldowns, Breath is doing insanity damage. The learning curve is the same. I don't think it has become easy or harder. I guess it could be harder because you now have an extra button to press. But if you keybind that to, for example, Bretus Intergrosser, then maybe it would just be the same. And I think that's it. Like, utility got unchanged. They provide exactly the same thing that they've always done. And durability or defensive part, they've always been strong and they will remain strong. Have nothing else to say about Frost Decay. I think it's overall pretty good. I mean, pretty good might be understatement for Frost Decay. Hunter, likely one of the biggest elves so far across all specs. First of all, I'm gonna say this, absolutely nothing has changed for Hunter. It plays exactly the same as before. Except now that you have a Q shot as an exclusive Hunter ability. Previously Q shot was available to Survival and BM. Now it's only for MM. Second thing, aim shot has become much longer cast. It takes about 3.5 business days to finish the cast itself. Your damage outside of major cooldowns, outside of True Shot Aura, is disgustingly bad. The tuning on both raid-wise and AoE-wise is disgustingly bad. It feels like I'm playing classic Hunter. Precise shots, arcane shots tuning is bad. The only thing that claps is it's aim shot. That is the only thing that does the spec. Has a good aim shot. So maybe if you play Puzzle Box Trinket and True Shot Aura every 2 minutes, you might do damage. Only aim shot though. Everything else does the damage. Destrolo goes to fun to play and a good tuning. And I'm gonna explain why. First of all, the tuning on Destruction Lock used to be overpowered. Like, it was the most OP spec, but it got nerfed. It got nerfed to the point where it became from the best to like maybe like top 10, top 5, right? The current playstyle of this lock, assuming you're playing Diabolist, revolves around casting Chaos Bolts and having your Cataclysm Lake of Fire do damage, which I think is pretty fun. I love the playstyle way better compared to like spamming Rain of Fire. There are builds that you don't ever press Rain of Fire, which is actually fantastic for me because I didn't like Rain of Fire spam. And this is exactly why I think Destro is fun to play, because it offers flexibility to have both builds, a Rain of Fire build and Chaos Bolt build. And I think Chaos Bolt does better prior damage and it's a lot more fun to play. It no longer is OP by any means, but it's quite fun to play. Design-wise, Destro is exactly the same as you could expect from the War Within to War to Midnight. Like, the core rotation is the same. Conflagrate, Incinerate, spend on Chaos Bolts on ST, Rain of Fire on AoE, preferably. That's about it. China Demon Fire tuning is bad. Demon Fire Infusion tuning is bad. The Rift tuning is bad. Hell Color tuning is bad. That's it. So that is the only reason why I am saying Destro is fun to play. If you play Rain of Fire builds, I think it's horrible to play, but still a good tuning. So I'm just gonna go with this one for now. I think Brewmaster Monk is pretty fun to play, and the tuning is pretty good on them too. There are several reasons why I consider Brew fun to play. The biggest reason here is it became easier to play. The core rotation consists of like 4 to 6 buttons, maybe 4 to 7 buttons. Compared to before, you don't need to have a PhD degree to play Brewmaster. Less keybinds, more streamlined, it has become easier in my opinion. The core rotation is still work around stagger, purify the stagger, heal up, do damage. Right, that's pretty much the core of the spec. A lot of defensive buttons have been removed to remove the button bloat. For example, Dampen Harm is no longer available. I think Diffuse Magic doesn't work anymore. It only transfers all of the dots back to the original target, but the ability is a passive though. and it's passive built inside inside your brew, in your, I think, fortifying brew. Is that how it's called? The magic cooldown? I think so. I think it's fortifying brew, which is a passive now. I mean, the brew is the active major cooldown, major defensive cooldown, but the diffuse magic is now passive towards that one. The stagger showing towards DPS meter is fixed. The HPS part is not fixed. Let me just think if there's anything else that I wrote about Brewmaster. I think so far for Brew, that's what I wrote. Weapons of Order is also gone. That's it. That's all I wrote so far for Brewmaster. Tuning wise, Brew is also doing okay. It's not terrible. It's not insane. It's not like a Vengeance DH tier. I think it's pretty close together. I think Holy Paladin received likely the biggest quality of life changes done to them. I think it will be it's pretty fun to play because Crusader Strikes are gone. You have to rely a lot more on Holy Shocks. Holy Priest now shares the talent choice node with Divine Toes. You're a lot more centered around minor cooldowns compared to before. You measure cooldowns a minute and a half or 90 seconds. It just, in my opinion, is a spec that will be a lot more fun to play in Midnight compared to the Order 10. The tuning wise so far on Holy Paladin is a bit on the lower side, numbers wise only, but I'm sure with time they're gonna change back and hopefully provide Holy Paladin a better with better ways to approach incoming damage, because compared to Restoration Druid right now, Holy Paladin definitely struggles. That's about it. I think so far that's all I could say. Oh, Holy Paladin doesn't have a kick anymore. So now you rely on just your Helmet of Justice and Binding Light. Also, Light of Dawn is a 40-yard baseline cooldown compared to before having to spend talents. Yeah, that's what I would say. So far. At least from everything that I've seen, I think it goes there. I think Havoc is the only spec that I haven't tried after the changes done to them on Wednesday. So for me, I'm gonna go with Unsure Need more testing. Because previously when I played Havoc last week, I played as Fails card and it was mid. It wasn't doing insane, but it wasn't really doing bad. Now with the changes to Aldraki River, so Aldraki, I haven't really tried Aldraki yet, so hopefully I'm gonna do that in a near future or even today. But Fails card, at least, it played pretty good. It was way easier than the Warcraft 10 though. Less buttons, more streamlined. Yeah, that's about it. I don't think I have anything bad to say. Well, again, Aldraki haven't been tested yet, so perhaps that will be where I can say that the spec sucks, for example, right? But until I try Aldraki, I can't really have an opinion yet on the spec. The only thing that I can say, it felt easy to play. Compared to the Warrior 10, it felt easier to play. Let's talk about Fire Mage. I think Fire Mage is absolutely overtuned. I don't know what happened to this. This pick used to be dog shit 2.5 weeks ago. Several buffs in a row, plus the added Scorch. And Fire Mage on-demand burst damage is crazy. It's crazy. Especially in Wraith, where Fire is likely one of the best range options so far, it's doing crazy numbers. I am a big fan of Fire so far. Especially the Sunfire build, where you have to rely on Flame Strikes. The Frostfire relies on Ignites, for example. I can't lie to you, Fire is really fun to play. But, obviously not as strong compared to BM Hunter, which is right now disgusting to play. I still think it's a good option. You're probably gonna be here. Either fun to play good tuning or borderline overtune. I'm gonna go with fun to play, good tuning so far, because we talk about Mythic Plus, but if I have to count rate as well, you're probably going in absolutely overtune, right? So there's several things added to fire compared to the overtune. First of all, Phoenix Flames doesn't exist anymore. Scorch got added back, it used to be removed. SKB doesn't work anymore. Hyperthermia got removed. Defenses got nerfed. The whole spec surrounds around Combustion right now. Combust is a 1 minute cooldown with Kindling giving a CDR. Kindling is a flat CDR on Combustion, a minute, which makes you combust every minute. And during Combust, you just do crazy damage. Now, depending on the build, your rotation can change. For the most part, it will consist of getting Fire Blast resets into Flame Strikes for AoE or Pyros for ST. That's about it. Unfortunately, the Sun Fury build or the Flame Strike build has no prio, unless you consider Fire Blasting a prio, but I don't personally. So that's about it. The Frostfire build with the more pyros has better prio though. I guess time is gonna tell us what's up. Let's talk about specs for the healer spec first. I'm gonna go with Mistweaver in Unsure, need more testing, because after the most recent changes to Mistweaver, I am unsure how they play right now. Previously, they were pretty fun to play, so I was gonna put them in either fun to play bad tuning or fun to play good tuning, one of those two. But after the most recent changes, I'm not really sure exactly where they belong right now. The core rotation is gonna feel similar than before, but I don't have enough information for the spec to have any opinion on it, whether it's gonna be good or bad after the most recent changes, or at least to give you some number changes. I have no idea yet, so that's why I'm gonna put it unsure. As time progresses, we're gonna have a better picture so far. Right. And that's it. That's it about Mistweaver. Devastation Evoker, it goes to overtune, 100%. Devastation Evoker is likely the only spec that I didn't expect to be that good. I came with the expectation of Devastation being mediocre as always. I played Scale Commander first. It was pretty meh. And then I was like, you know what? I know that Engoof got removed from Death Evoker. Let me give it a try anyway. And my god, it gave me the biggest surprise, bro. Flame Shaper Death Evoker absolutely cooks. On burst, so on-demand burst, likely one of the highest so far. Quick burst, consume flame does insane damage. Playstyle feels similar, except that you don't have Firestorm anymore. You don't play that anymore. It's not passive, but you still don't play it. It's extremely easy and rewarding. And I think the only time that it felt bad is the Dragon Rage nerf. Previously, Dragon Rage you could extend up to like a minute or 65 seconds, but now that they nerfed that, it might issue some warnings for a single target, you know. Yeah, that's about it, chat. If they haven't nerfed the Dragon Rage, I could have expected way better ST, but they nerfed it, so meh. I think Subrogue is one of the few specs that I think is horrible to play in bad tuning. And the reason why that is because the rework of Subrogue made it very, very, very unrewarding. Like the prune of Subrogue is just diabolically, in my opinion, not as good. It became the easiest spec by far if you play Deathstalker, with only doing Shuriken Storm and Black Powder and occasional Secret Technique. No Rapture, no Shadow Strike. I guess one Shadow Strike to pop your Hero Talent and for more proud damage, but overall it just feels... The whole designer spec feels like it's missing something. Yeah. It's extremely simple, both on ST and AoE, and for me at least, it was not engaging to play when I played it. Hence why I don't think it was fun to play. That's my opinion though. Maybe some people love the current Sub Rogue. I don't like the current playstyle of Sub Rogue. It's not engaging. Like compared to Outlaw Rogue, Sub Rogue is boring. Compared to Outlaw Rogue, Sub Rogue is boring. I think Affliction is fun to play. Horrible tuning though. Horrible tuning. Like, it went from okay to nerfed and nerfed again. The rework of an Affliction where you have to spend your Seed of Corruption as AoE spender compared to Malefic Rupture, Unstable Affliction on pure ST to be stuck in dots. It feels fun. The Dark Lair rework is fine. The Viotint removal and now having to reapply Agony manually is fine because of a Twin Guardian talent or Twin Agony talent, whatever you want to call it. But after the nerfs done to them, and I'm not talking about minor nerfs, they nerfed Unstable Affliction twice severely. They nerfed Wither, they nerfed Hellcaller, they also nerfed Agony as well. So now it just seems like out of all the nerfs they've done to you, you just do no damage. But it's still fun to play, only if they fix the damage, would probably going to be right here. Yeah. If they fix the damage. Unfortunately, they haven't really done so. I think Retribution Shaman, in my opinion, is fun to play. And I think tuning-wise is either good tuning or mid-ish tuning. Unfortunately, there is no way that I can put them in between. That's why I'm going to put them in an unsure need mode testing. Because from everything that I've played so far, you're probably going to end up being in a good tuning anyway. The healing of Restoration Shaman actually changed quite a lot. Cloudburst Totem is now gone. You still have to apply Riptides though. So, still Riptide. A lot more focus on Chain Heal now, which is fine. You get more passive healing from Healing Stream Totem. That's fine too. Downpour is still exists if you like to go there. Ascendance shares now a talent node with I think it was, I forgot the name of the talent, but Healing Stream is now Healing Tide. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. It now shares Healing Tide. So it got changed design wise, how it plays out. Yeah, it's I think so. At the beginning, I was pretty doomed about it, but after the most recent changes, it feels better. Honestly, they nerfed Farseer though, so maybe now you go to Totemic instead of Farseer. I'm gonna go with Guardian so far. Talk about tanks. I'm gonna go with fun to play but bad tuning. So, Guardian became less spammy though. Less spammy for sure compared to the War Within. Thanks to, there's one talent here that I wrote, I want to talk about. Thorns of Iron. That is the talent that gave you such a spam-oriented playstyle. Ursok Fury got buffed as well, which makes you a lot more durable. Self-sustain feels better. Durability feels better. The only thing Guardian don't have is just damage right now. I feel like if they buff the damage, whether they buff the physical damage to play Druid of the Claw or they buff the arcane damage to play Elun's Chosen Bear, I think it will probably fix the most issues so far for the Guardian. I think it's one of those specs that I really think they should benefit from damage buffs. Yeah. But the toolkit is the same, nothing new for like utility on the Guardian. And I think there were several talent or nodes that gave you off heal to your team, which I still think is not as big compared to other specs and what they can provide for you. You know, that's about it. Realistically speaking, Balance Druid right now is just horrible to play. It's just horrible to play. Like, horrible to play because, so first of all, the core rotation is exactly the same. Sunfire, Moonfire, Spenders, Star Surges, Starfalls, etc. Eclipse is now a separate keybind. It would require more cooldown management because now you have to think about, oh, when do I press Eclipse? Do I hold the clips for there, etc.? So that's one thing to think about. Horrible because the current tuning of Balance Druid is so bad that the Starfall might be worth to cast more on single target compared to like Star Surge. That's how bad it is. At times. So if you only care about numbers, if you don't care about design, if you only care about numbers, Balance is not the worst pick. By far not the worst pick. In Mass AoE, for example, Balance can do insane numbers. The Mastery rework, for example, better front load burst, quicker setup with Keeper of the Groove, but that's only if you care about damage. If you care about design, it has a lot of flaws right now. Also, your talents are really bad. Like your spec-specific talents, like the capstones, are just pretty bad. Like I was thinking yesterday for like 5 minutes, where do I spend my points? Because everything is bad. Nothing is tuned properly. Assassination Rogue is one of the few specs that I'm gonna say it's quite fun to play, and the tuning is, in my opinion, okay. It's not terrible, but it's not amazing. I'll say it's okay. They have reworked the Crimson Tempest to become a generator, by the way. So it duplicates the longest dots that you have on Garrote and Rapture and replicates that to the 2 nearby enemies. So let's say you open with your stealth, Garrote, Rapture, 1 target, and then you cast Crimson Tempest once or twice to replicate those to the nearby enemies, and then the only splinter that you have is just... Sorry, my cat here opens the door. My cat opens the door all the time, so yeah. The only splinter that you have is in Venom. That's it. So every combo point that you get, you just gotta have to press in Venom. That's it. Easy as that. And yeah, Fire of Knives as well, if you already have dots up, and Venom. It's a lot more streamlined, a lot easier than before, easier to manage. You don't absolutely need stealth to do your opener. You can do it without stealth. Obviously, with stealth, it's still better. Vanish is still good cooldown to have, though, unfortunately. Yeah. That's it. I like it. Utility-wise, unchanged. Defensive-wise, unchanged. It's just better flow. Survival Hunter goes to fun to play but bad tuning. The difference between Survival Hunter, between the War of Tune and Midnight is have 2 new abilities, Boomstick and Fire Flying Pitch, which is something that you don't play right now. I think overall speaking, you still play around tip of the scale. No, tip of the spear. Consume Wildfire Bombs. Raptor Strike a lot more in AoE because Butchery is now gone. That's the only way to get CDR. Boomstick, Wildfire Bombs, Raptor Strike, Raptor Sweep. Takedown is your new measure cooldown, which pretty much combines Spare Hit and Coordinated Assault. I think that's it. It feels very easy to play. One of the easiest melee to have right now. Yeah. Defensively unchanged. Actually, defensively got slightly buffed. And utility-wise, Hunter Smart got reworked just like any Hunter spec. That's pretty much it. So far, I don't think there's anything that is bad about a spec per se. But if you only care about numbers, I would say mediocre right now. Compared to other specs, maybe slightly above average or average. No more, no less for survival so far. Yeah. Have you found any? Have you found a class you're gonna play together with the Shaman? Not yet. It's too early to choose a main. Devastation is gonna get nerfed 100%. There's currently a bug about Devastation Evoker that makes your party consume Flame Strike, the prior target, a lot harder, which is obviously a bug. And that is the same bug, I believe, on a Flame Shaper Press Evoker too. So it's gonna get fixed at some point. Yeah. Sadly, I don't know much about Preservation Evoker yet and Disc Priest. I've played with Disc Priest for several keys yesterday, and it felt pretty good when it comes down to healing. Most of the healing encounters they had no problem with. So it's probably gonna go to fun to play good tuning. Disc Priest, that is. It got changed quite a bit. I've wrote some notes here for you guys to take a look about Disc Priest. Disc Priest, what we wrote here is no renew anymore. Oracle got changed a bit. Evangelism got reworked as well. Power Word Barrier is now a choice talent node with ultimate penance. Luminous Barrier got removed. Shifting power to record spells compared to multipliers. That's what I wrote. That document, I have linked it to everybody. It's where I keep my notes for all the specs. If you guys like to have it, I can link it to all of you. Keep in mind that it's work in progress and I haven't really shared it with people yet. I just have my notes here and I will be updating that one on the way. I'm gonna be exporting my UI there as well at some point once I'm done. But yeah, don't take the notes as they're mostly for me. For most people, it won't make any sense, but it's just for me. It's my personal notes. And about Preservation Evoker, what I wrote here is Life Bind can't be echoed anymore. Spirit Bloom, Emerald Communion, Cycle of Life deleted. Main healing is now focused around Verding Embrace and Dream Breath. Echo plus Reversion plus Meritra, which is your Apex Talents. That's about the playstyle of Preservation Evoker. I don't know how strong they are compared to other healers, but I've been speaking with Crive and he's been pretty positive about Preservation Evoker so far. Hopefully in the next couple of days or weeks I'm gonna have better glance at how healers are doing compared to each. And that's about it. That is the first iteration of our progressive tier list. Keep in mind that this is the very first iteration and a lot of things are super basic so far, but this will evolve from day to day, from week to week. Every single Sunday we're gonna gather together and we're gonna discuss the changes done to all the specs, so you guys will have a better idea of how each spec is doing. But once we get closer to, let's say, January perhaps, we will be converting this to S, A, B, C, and D tier list compared to like being, you know, notes like that. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and once again, if you got any questions, now is the time to ask me if you have anything. I'm gonna save this right now and get back to you next week where we're gonna discuss the changes done to each spec again and see how they will be changing based on what we discussed.